What's up, grinders? Welcome back to the channel. Okay, so I'm going to be doing something I've never done before. I am launching a change.org petition. Now, you might be sitting there and wondering what the hell would make me launch a change.org petition, because this is not exactly something that I ever do. Well, essentially, the Australian government are being dicks, okay? Both sides of politics, in fact, both major parties are walking in lockstep regarding what I'm about to talk about, and it's freaking crazy. So, the Australian government has decided that they're going to wrap the entirety of the Australian internet in goddamn bubble wrap, okay? They have decided to introduce what they love to publicly call a social media age restriction. So basically, it's going to be if you're under 16 years of age, you cannot have a social media account, okay? You're just straight up banned, okay? You can't have one, and it's not just going to be a simple situation where the social media websites are going to ask you, are you 16 years or over? And then you click yes or no, and that's pretty much it. No, the social media websites are going to face massive fines if they don't implement means to check both pre-existing and future users are actually over 16 years of old. Now, they keep saying social media websites, but guess what? This new legislation covers so much more. It's way more broad. So let's have a look at the official e-safety website, okay? So I'm going to read this to you. More generally, age restrictions will apply to social media platforms that meet three specific conditions, unless they are excluded based on criteria set out in legislation rules made by the Minister of No One Gives a Shit. The conditions for age restriction are: the sole purpose or significant purpose of the service is to enable online interaction between two or more end users. So see, they're not saying social media here, because realistically, you can't define social media. So what they're doing is they're saying if the sole or significant purpose is to enable connection between users, or the service allows end users to link to or interact with or some or all other end users. So you got two users or other users, okay? Doesn't have to be all, can just be some. Or the service allows end users to post material on the service. If a website fulfills these three conditions, the website technically falls under this legislation. Now, if you have any brain cells in your head, this is literally every website in existence, okay? Well, maybe not every website, but it's the vast majority of them, okay? So yes, this covers Facebook, TikTok, friggin' YouTube, all this type of stuff, because, you know, they allow communication between individuals and group users and stuff like this. And then it also allows you to post content, but this also covers shit like GitHub. Now, the government hasn't said that they're going to, you know, go out, hunt down GitHub and make sure they put, you know, actual check the ages of the users on GitHub. But it gives them the ability to decide what websites need to do this and what websites don't. Now, to give you guys a little bit of a history lesson, okay? So I grew up in, you know, some areas that didn't exactly have the best teaching available. And I learned most of what I know online as a young teen. So I got on YouTube and I learned about game dev by watching YouTube videos of people, you know, talking about how to make games. I went to random forums, signed up to them, posted my own code extracts, got feedback from other people, and pretty much everything that I've learned about coding up until I became an actual game programmer, I learned by myself as a young teen online, okay? So this here means that those forums, technically, they would need to age check me and I would never have been able to access them. YouTube technically needs to age. Well, not even technically. The government says YouTube's covered. So I guess I could search as a logged out user, you know, to find content, but then it doesn't really do anything. But like, just think about it. Everything that I used as a teen, and I didn't go do dodgy websites or anything like that, like engage in that shit. Like, it just didn't bother me. But everything that I use would technically be locked, okay? And I wouldn't I've got to where I am in life, have the skills that I have, if these laws existed. Now, they say, oh, we're not going to cover, you know, educational stuff. No, this is just like everything's going to get fucking AOE damage with these laws. There's no getting around it. And the worst part about this is in literally the next line. Online gaming and standalone messaging apps are among a number of types of services that have been excluded under the legislation's rules. What the fuck? This makes no sense. Literally the problem. Okay, so where children online cop the most shit, face the most online harm, is literally online gaming and via messaging. Usually kids bullying other kids, okay, you know, via online messaging or via online gaming. So you're not even actually addressing the issue here. All you're doing is attacking a bunch of social media websites, leaving open the possibility that you can put here, the government, you can put here whatever website you want, and then they're going to have to just bend the knee instantly. Now, you might be thinking, well, okay, this is fine because, we'll just take a small hit for the kids, Sure, it doesn't cover online gaming and stuff, but at least we cover off the main services, right? Not really, because I worked as a tutor for years with kids. They have iPads, they have phones, they have all this crazy shit, okay? They can get onto these services, and even if they can't, let's say you block their account, okay? The very first thing they're going to go do, like I'm going to say probably 80% of them, is harass their parents to get an account. And the parents are going to sign up on their behalf. And then there's going to be a bunch of kids, which are basically, their parents won't let them sign up. And they're just going to be removed from their friend group, okay? Because they no longer take part in both the digital and the real world. We can't avoid the digital world in this modern world. So this is like born from an era of like people who just don't know how the digital online world really works. Now, additionally, this not only just affects the kids, okay? It affects all Australians. Because how are we going to find out who is 16 and who is not? Now, the government has obviously had to address this issue, and they said right down here in their FAQs, no Australian will be forced to use government ID, including digital ID accredited by the government, to provide their age online. Age-restricted social media platforms will have to offer reasonable alternatives to users. What is reasonable alternatives? What can they do, okay? They're going to have to ask for some form of ID, right? Now, the only case where they won't need to is if you have an account that's already older than 16 years old. In that case, you're fine. But if you're going to go sign up to some new service, which this creates a barrier of entry, okay? You're going to sign up to some new service, they're going to have to ask you for some form of ID. Now, the government can just throw up its hands in the air and say, oh, yeah, well, they'll figure it out. Yeah, they will figure it out. They're going to ask for us, what, our driver's license? So now I've got that floating out there, for the cybersecurity fucking criminals out there to steal my shit? Yeah, great, okay. Or maybe they'll ask for my credit card. That's great. So now every random goddamn forum and service I'm going to want to use in the future that doesn't want to get fined by the Australian government is now going to have to ask for my ID or my credit card. Now, the laughable fact about this is that the government even suggested, okay, that no, we're going to be able to use AI to do this, okay? Face age and AI checks using, that will be used in, the internet here in Australia. As someone who works as a programmer, this is by God the most laughable piece of shit I have ever seen, okay? The government, do they not understand how AI works? In fact, they do. They've run tests already, and guess what? Their tests showed. Their tests failed. They're unable to determine the difference between an 18 and a 17-year-old using AI. And you know what? There's no way in God's green earth they're going to ever be able to figure that out by a face check, okay? By scanning a face. I remember when I went to school, half my family's Maori, okay? My cousin, who was like 11 years old at the time, he had fucking facial hair and everything. He looked like a 25-year-old, man. And guess what? There ain't no way in hell AI is going to go, yeah, he's 16. No, it wouldn't have happened, okay? So it's not going to work. Why are we even pretending? Now, some of these websites and stuff have suggested that, oh, that's okay. What they'll do is they'll check the content you're consuming, and if it seems like you're getting a lot of kids' content, then boom, ban your ass because you're most likely a kid or you're going to have to provide some proof. This doesn't work either. Okay, I consume a shit ton of kids' content in other languages because I learn languages. That's what I love to do. So I literally go watch freaking Peppa Pig in Chinese in order to improve my Chinese. What am I going to get banned for that? Just because I enjoy watching fucking Peppa Pig in Chinese? And also like a ton of other channels? Like if an AI scanned my channel, okay, and looked at the type of content I consumed, it would be the most confused AI in the world. You're going to have like 50% most random kids content in random languages. And then it's going to be like all sorts of like defraud channels, tech channels, science channels and stuff. It's going to be confused. This ain't going to work. So realistically, all this is going to do is open up Australians to, getting hit with massive amounts of cyber fraud because we're going to be providing our credit card and ID left, right, and center to be able to access websites. Those are the websites that are prepared to provide the service. Remember, not every website will be in the future. Some of them are just going to be like, well, this is too costly because we can't check it. We can't pay for a service that's going to check it for us, which, by the way, means we're going to be sending an ID to one website, which is going to send it off to another, which is going to send it back with a check, okay? So realistically, we're going to get geo-blocked, we're going to get our shit stolen. It's already bad enough online as it is, and the government out here thinks it's going to protect the kids by banning them. Yeah, that ain't going to work. Any kid, it will take them like fucking 5 minutes harassing an adult to get back onto these services. So, as a result, I've launched this change.org petition. I never thought in my goddamn life I would have to actually launch a petition. I do not see myself as a petition guy. Like, it's just not what I do, okay? So, please, go like, I was going to literally go sub to the petition. That just shows you how deep in the YouTube space I am. But go sign the petition and share it around with any Australians that you know, or anyone realistically, because once this hits in Australia, it's just going to expand out. The whole world's going to get hit with AOE damage over this one. So please, sign this, and then hopefully, in some way, our own government officials will see this and go, okay, guys, maybe we should back off on this one. Now, you might be thinking, why didn't I go through like a Senate petition or something like that? Because I did have a look at it. You basically have to be a senator to do that. And I'm not the smartest person in the world. I don't know like all the senators and who to contact and shit. So I figured we just hit it with this. If it gets enough steam, then, the senators, the actual people who have some, policy power, they can raise some internal ones, and hopefully from there something will happen. Anyway, guys, I know this is not language related, but yeah, I really don't want to be providing my personal details and credit cards to every goddamn little website out there just to be able to, get details on specific things.